Tom, could you introduce our guest right now?
Oh, yeah. A writer with a lifelong curiosity about what it means to be happy and live the good life. He spends most of his time reading, writing, exercising, thinking, or lying on the floor and playing with his dog. He's a trained life coach and personal trainer. And when he's not working one-on-one with folks to create their ideal lives, he's probably at the gym or trying to find an excuse to travel. He's based out of Central Kentucky, and he is passionate about seeing tech and entrepreneurship bring new opportunities to his home state. Welcome to the Dr. Joe Show, Blake Reichenbach.
Welcome, Blake.
Hey.
Welcome, Blake.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here.
It is wonderful to have you. Thanks so much for being so patient, listening to all of us, catching up with each other. So appreciate it. So just so people know, I met Blake because I was on his podcast. It's got to be about 6 weeks ago, maybe a couple months, something like that.
Yeah, about
that.
So another pod swap.
Another pod swap.
I love it. Thank you, Dr. Joe. We're getting some cool guests with these pod swaps.
We really are. But Blake, we had such a good time. Blake, can you tell people a little bit about what's going on? Because you're launching some new things as well now.
I am. And I'm super excited about some of what I have coming up because like you were talking about with your daughter, getting to connect with people who have similar passions is so huge and so empowering. And for me, that's been very key in my own professional and personal growth, which has been a rather winding, circuitous, not at all linear path. So yeah, coming up this fall, I'm going to be launching a project called Howdy Curiosity, which is all about connecting folks who are interested in pursuing side hustles or passion projects, but don't feel like they fit into the camp of side hustlers who come from like MBA and business backgrounds, but also want something more authentic and more meaningful than like Reddit forums. So it's a happy middle ground, a happy safe space to be curious and explore the things that make you happy.
That sounds pretty amazing, don't you think, Mark? And before I let you comment on that, because there are some things that community is all about, that happiness is all about, that communities can create happiness. And we are blessed because we have a community that creates happiness with our sponsors. And our sponsors have helped us be who we are today. They have helped make us just accessible to everyone. And so without further ado, Ben, we'll take our first commercial break.
And we're back with the Dr. Joe Show with a really cool episode and guest, Blake from Northern Kentucky. I love it. Let's talk. Let's unpack some stuff here, Blake.
There we go. Let's do it. So, Howdy Curiosity. First of all, how do you come up with that name? Sorry.
So, it really is one of those things where curiosity is just so important to me. It's one of the central tenets that I live by. For folks who are streaming this on Facebook, you probably can't read it, but there's a little pegboard in the background. And it said, make curiosity a priority for about the last 9 months. The howdy is actually every bit as intentional as the curiosity. Because I'm a resident of Central Kentucky. I grew up here, similar to your daughter. I did live in LA for a while, but I've since returned to rural Central Kentucky. And, we are prone to saying howdy. And also people who are in smaller towns and in more rural areas don't always feel that they have access to the types of networks and organizations and communities that are, key to achieving the goals and key to building the lives they want to live. And it often feels like those are located so far away from rural areas. So I'm kind of wanting to reclaim that sense of distance and saying howdy to curiosity. We may be out in the sticks, but there's still a ton that we can do.
So, Dr. Joe, do you know what a side hustle is?
Probably not in a good sense. Tell me, what is a side hustle?
Well, did you hear Blake's introduction by Thomas when he was talking about side hustles?
Yeah.
He's helping coach folks to basically straddle into the world of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah. So for for me, my day job, I work for Cambridge-based software company, HubSpot. That pays my bills.
Oh.
That pays my mortgage. On the side, I'm a coach, entrepreneur, and writer. So that's my side hustle. It's the work that I do outside of my main source of income that's more aligned with my values and the things that I love doing.
And you're now helping people set theirs up and figure it out and structure it and transparently work with the other job, right? Because you want the other employer to be okay with it, right?
Yep, exactly.
So how do people find Howdy Curiosity, and when is it starting? What's happening?
So our launch is, let's go with ambiguously this autumn. We don't have an exact launch date yet. There's still a few kind of moving pieces that I need to get nailed down before I can say with confidence, this is the date that I will be launched on. But right now it should be early September. And anyone who's interested can just go to howdycuriosity.com or howdycuriosity.com/welcome. Both of those addresses will take you to the same place.
So does this sort of exemplify your current side hustle?
It does. It does. It's really a culmination of how my side hustling has evolved over time. You know, like I mentioned in the introduction, my journey's not exactly been very linear.
Great.
You know, way back when I graduated with a very highly coveted bachelor's in English, and was freelance writing full time, primarily in the men's fashion and wellness industries. And I got really burnt out with the type of writing that I was doing because the audience was so narrow. And on top of that, after a while, I got tired of the inconsistencies of the freelance paycheck cycle, which is another way of saying I was just broke. And so I thought, I'll just take a job somewhere, work there for a year, and then go back to grad school so that I can get the even more coveted PhD in English. But that job for a year was doing customer support at HubSpot. And several years later, I'm still there because I loved it. And, you know, I used the tools that I had access to through HubSpot to build my first website, which was a publication targeted to young men that expanded beyond the scope of what I was assigned as a freelancer. And over time, the more that grew and developed, and the more audience that I had at that website, which is self-himprovement.com, the more I realized that my audience was really looking for a way to, you know, be practical and have a sense of security, especially during times like this where the pandemic has kind of thrown that sense of security into question for so many, but also not feel like they're missing out on the things that get them excited to get out of bed in the morning. And so, you know, all of that kind of rolled together is what has led me to launching Howdy Curiosity.
And Self-Himprovement is a terrific site as well. How long has that been around?
I first launched it in its first iteration, which was under a different name. But I first launched it, I think, in late 2017, early 2018, perhaps. So it's been around a couple of years now.
When you say, I'm sorry, Dr. Joe.
No, please go on, Mark.
When you say you're launching Howdy Curiosity, what are you launching?
Yeah, so it is going to be an online community. So it is going to be a private community where, you know, you do have to subscribe to be able to enroll and get access into it. But it's going to include things like, you know, regular book clubs where we'll be going through books about exploring that, you know, creative or curious aspect of ourselves. It'll include collaborative and coaching spaces. We'll have regular like office hours or coffee chats. And then, of course, you know, forums and networking events where members can, you know, hang out informally, get to know each other, share their successes, ask questions, and, you know, figure out what it means to be curious about things and to pursue the things that interest them in a productive way.
So the platform you'll be using, is that a Facebook exclusive group or a private group on Facebook, or what? Where would it be?
No, so it's actually not going to be tied with any like major social media platforms. in my opinion, social media platforms aren't always the most productive space. And they often either are too convenient to just click away into your general timeline, or because a lot of social media platforms have like no barrier to entry at all, it becomes a stream of like self-promotion rather than collaboration. So I'm actually using a really cool software platform called Mighty Networks to build out a custom proprietary community.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mark, some of this resonates with you, and we were just beginning
Well,
to
I love the online marketplace, the online communities, the social selling. I love all of it. But I was curious as to, what the launch was. Was it a course, or was it, what was it? But it seems really, really interesting, Blake. I'll be checking it out for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a menu of different things that people can access.
Stretch the cat.